What happens when peaceful protests on a college campus turn violent? Recently, the University of California, Los Angeles, better known as UCLA, found out. The story begins with a spark. UCLA, a hub of intellectual growth and multicultural interactions, found itself at the heart of a conflict that transcended its academic borders. A peaceful protest, sparked by the Gaza war, started to simmer on the campus grounds. Students, voicing their concerns and standing in solidarity with those affected by the ongoing conflict, filled the air with cries for peace and justice. But as the days passed, this peaceful demonstration took a dark turn. The campus became a battleground for pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli groups, their passionate beliefs clashing with a ferocity that mirrored the very war they protested. The consequence was a wave of violence that swept the campus, leading to injuries and the cancellation of classes. As the university's peaceful grounds turned into a site of unrest, action had to be taken. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, took the step of deploying California Highway Patrol officers to UCLA. Their mission? To restore order, ensuring the safety of students and staff alike. Yet their presence in the midst of a campus now known more for its clashes than classes became a stark symbol of the severity of the situation. Yet this wasn't just about UCLA. The incident ignited a broader conversation about how universities handle protests, and more critically, how they ensure student safety in such volatile situations. The handling of the UCLA incident raised eyebrows, and voices of criticism began to echo in the halls of academia and beyond. The university's leadership found itself under scrutiny, with various groups criticizing their perceived failure to protect students. Calls for resignations filled the air, accompanied by demands for budget actions to ensure student safety in the future. The UCLA incident has sparked a broader conversation about how universities handle protests and student safety. In the aftermath of the violence at UCLA, both the university and the broader community faced repercussions. The university's handling of the protests became a matter of serious concern, leading to an independent review of its response. Some have criticized UCLA's leadership for failing to adequately protect students, pointing to the escalation of violence as evidence of this failure. These critics are not just whispering in corners, but are calling for tangible actions, resignations from those in charge and budgetary measures to ensure student safety. But the ripple effects of the UCLA incident didn't stop at the university gates. Similar protests sparked by the Gaza war have spread like wildfire to universities nationwide. This wave of unrest has led to an increase in law enforcement interventions across various campuses. These interventions have not been without controversy, as universities struggle to strike a balance between maintaining order and respecting the rights of students to protest. The situation, however, is not as black and white as it may seem. On one hand, there's the need to ensure that campuses remain safe and conducive for learning. On the other hand, there's the importance of upholding the fundamental right to freedom of speech and peaceful protest. This delicate balancing act has put universities in a rather precarious position, with no one-size-fits-all solution in sight. As we grapple with these complexities, it's essential to remember that the UCLA incident is not an isolated event, but part of a wider trend of campus protests across the country. These protests, in many ways, reflect the broader societal and political issues we face as a nation. The challenge, therefore, is not just about addressing the immediate aftermath, but also about understanding and addressing the underlying issues that give rise to such protests in the first place. The campus protests have not only affected the universities, but have also had a significant impact on national politics and journalism. The pro-Palestinian campus protests have stirred up divisions among the Democratic Party. This has placed President Biden under a microscope as he faces mounting pressure to adopt a more forceful stance on Israel's actions in Gaza. The progressive wing of the party is calling for a balanced approach to the situation, while others are advocating for sanctions against Israel. In response, Biden has underscored diplomacy and continued military aid to Israel, without publicly endorsing the cessation of support. This delicate balancing act has not escaped the scrutiny of Republicans who have been critical of Biden's handling of the crisis. The protests have also led to concerns about safety and free speech on campuses, which has further complicated the political dynamics. This could potentially impact Biden's re-election prospects, with implications for young progressive voters and Muslim Americans. In parallel, the role of student journalism has come to the fore. Student journalists from UCLA to Columbia are navigating the front lines of these protests, facing unique challenges as both members of the media and as students. They are immersed in the stories, providing up-close and personal coverage of protests and disciplinary hearings. This has placed them in the difficult position of making editorial decisions, balancing viewpoints, and dealing with ethical concerns while reporting on their peers. Despite these challenges, student journalists are emphasizing the importance of their unique access and understanding of campus dynamics. Their coverage is offering a nuanced perspective that major media organizations may not capture, making their contribution vital in shaping the narrative around the campus unrest. As the situation continues to unfold, the impact on our political landscape and the role of student journalists in shaping the narrative remains a compelling aspect to watch. In the end, the UCLA incident serves as a stark reminder of the complex dynamics at play in our society. We've observed how a peaceful demonstration can escalate into violence, and how the response of UCLA and other universities can shape the narrative. We've seen the ripple effects on national politics and how these events can divide or unite political factions. The role of student journalists has also been highlighted, their unique perspective offering a nuanced understanding of the situation. The events at UCLA have left a lasting impression, and it's clear that the conversation about campus protests and their implications is far from over. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on the latest news.